Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
When you come back, what
I come
happens?
back, I ask my friend to tow it into his lot and check it out for me. And to my surprise, he tells me that I need a new engine and that my transmission needs to be repaired because somebody put sugar in my gas tank.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Tanji Patterson claims she let her neighbor borrow her car, but when it was returned, she discovered someone had put sugar in the gas tank, which damaged the engine. Ms. Patterson is suing Alicia Alexander in the amount of $2,465. Ms. Alexander claims she didn't vandalize the vehicle, but says Ms. Patterson has many enemies and any of them could have done it.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties be sworn, Your Honor.
Third to deputy's office. Something happened to your car.
Something happened to my car.
Prove your case.
Okay, so I met Allie through Vicky, which was my roommate. They started dating, and she used to drive Vicky's car.
All right.
But Vicky, when they broke up, moved back in with her parents.
All right, let me go to Miss Alexander. You and Vicky were in a relationship.
Yes.
You had a car?
No, I was using Vicky's car.
Okay, you never had a car.
I've never had a car.
But you used Vicky's car to get around. Then how did Vicky get around?
Vicky...
The two of you shared a car.
We shared her car.
You were in a relationship with Vicky for a period of time.
Yes.
The two of you broke up.
Yes.
Was Miss Patterson involved with the reason for the breakup?
No, not for
It
the
was
breakup.
just something between you and
It
Vicky.
was between us, yes.
All right. And then when you and Vicky break up, she says you are no longer to drive my car, I take it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Now you're carless.
Exactly, yes.
Are you now saying to me that you let her use your car?
Well, yes, because she asked me, because I was going away home for the holidays. I was leaving on Wednesday, coming back on Monday.
All right, so you were going out of town for an
Yes.
extended period of time.
Yes.
And she asked you asked
She
her?
actually offered me
She
to
asked
use
me
her car.
to use my car while I was
There
away.
was a conversation about car
Borrowing
usage.
a car, yes.
She doesn't benefit from saying, you want to drive my car? You absolutely benefit from, I could use a car.
Well, she was going out of town, and she asked me to drop her off at the airport, and she said, well, I'm going out of town for 5
She
days.
could have left her car parked and got an Uber or a taxi, another friend. She
Well,
didn't need...
She knew that I didn't have a car.
Exactly.
So she...
You were the beneficiary of her being out of town to take advantage of a car that you no longer have because you were no longer with Vicky.
Right.
Do I have it right so far?
You have it correct.
All right. You leave.
I
She
leave.
drops you off at the airport.
Yes. So on our way to the airport, she's telling me about this big fight that she had with Vicky the night before. She's telling me that Vicky hates me because I introduced her to a friend of mine and
Vicky
they started
hates
dating.
who?
Me. Vicky's mad at me now because I
Your
introduced
roommate, Vicky, is
older
mad
me.
at you.
Yes.
And she's telling you this.
She's telling me all
But you
of
and
this.
Vicky live together.
We don't live together anymore. They moved out.
Stop. Okay, that's okay. We were doing really well here. You said that you and Vicky were roommates.
We were, and then she moved out with her because Vicky didn't like that we were getting close.
Okay. During the time you and Vicky were roommates,
Yes.
she was not seeing Miss Alexander.
Yes.
At some point, as she's seeing Miss Alexander, she wants to now live with Miss Alexander.
Yes, because she didn't like that we were becoming friends.
All right. You are no longer in the picture. You and Vicky are roommates, and you're using Vicky's car.
Right.
When you and Vicky break up, does she also move as well as
She
take the
moved
car?
out of the complex, out of the apartment, and took her car with her.
All right. You never had any further interaction with Vicky.
No.
What you're hearing Miss Alexander say is
Yeah, it's
based
just-
on the fact that you're not communicating with her at all.
Yes.
And did you tell Miss Patterson that Vicky did not like her?
Yes, I told her that Vicky didn't want to be friends with her anymore because she set me up with one of her friends. So she feels like since
Who set who up with friends?
she set me up with one of her friends.
All I
After
did
you
was
and Vicky
introduce you
broke
guys.
up, there was another woman.
Yes. That was at my house. She was a friend. She came over. They met. I introduced them, and then they started a thing. And now
then
apparently it's my
now
fault.
you have a thing with this other woman.
Yes, but Vicky's
Okay.
upset because
Vicky's
they were
upset-
supposed to be
Woo,
friends.
Man. All
And
right.
she set me up with her
Vicky
friends.
is mad because you've now moved on.
Yes.
And Miss Patterson contributed to you moving on with
Exactly,
another woman.
yes.
So she's a little salty at that point.
Coming up on America's Court.
I come back, I ask my friend to tow it into his lot and check it out for me. And to my surprise, he tells me that I need a new engine and that my transmission needs to be repaired because somebody put sugar in my gas tank.
And later.
The fence that he put up,
Yes.
I feel isn't the quality or aesthetically
Well,
pleasing
you
as the
wanted
fence we had.
cedar, so we know you are already top shelf.
Closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Tanji Patterson, who is suing Alicia Alexander for property damage.
How many days had you been away?
5 days. I was gone for 5 days.
You were gone for 5 days. You said you got a call. What day did you get the
The
call?
third day I was there.
You had already left 2 days.
Yes.
And then the third day,
The third day I got a phone call.
Miss Alexander calls
Yes.
you.
She called me and told me that.
Well, let me let her tell me what she told you.
I called her and I told her that I was on my way out to run some errands and I couldn't even get out the driveway because the car, something was wrong with the car.
All right.
So I called her to let her know.
The first 2 days, you weren't having any
No,
problems
the
with
car was running fine. It was
Did you
perfectly
ever
fine.
move to a different location?
During the 2 days?
When you and Vicky broke up and she moved out, did you stay there?
No, I stayed in the same complex. We stayed
And
in the
did
same
you-
complex.
Oh, you all live in the same complex?
Yes.
And were you parking in her normal spot?
Yes, because it was her car, so I parked in her spot.
Okay. And then what happens those remaining 2 days while you're gone? Does anything happen with the car? Does anyone have it checked out, or does it just sit there?
Well, she said she was going to have it checked
wait
out when
until
she
I got back because I have a friend who has a lot. So I said, you know what, don't do anything yet. I don't know what could be wrong. My car normally is in perfect working condition. I always
Yes.
get from A to B. I maintenance my vehicle. I put oil in it. I am a very, very responsible with my car. So
Okay.
it's just weird to me that now all of a sudden it's not
All right.
working. But I say, hold
and then
on.
now, other than you being out of a car, it just sits there.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was just, it's
When you come back,
I
what
come
happens?
back, I ask my friend to tow it into his lot and check it out for me. And to my surprise, he tells me that I need a new engine and that my transmission needs to be repaired because somebody put sugar in my gas tank. And she's now refusing to pay for that. My car was in
This
your
amount
possession.
is based on what it would cost to make you whole.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it also
Can you
included
establish
my
that?
rental. I had to rent a car, which was $210. So
This
that
cost
price
also includes the rental.
includes my rental car.
Show me anything you have in terms of receipts, estimates. Has the car been repaired?
Yes.
Okay.
It has.
You're just trying to get the money
I'm
back
trying to get
that
my
you
money
have
back.
to.
That's a lot of money.
All right. Oh, here's the rental that you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
The transmission. Now, you gave me the Blue Book value of the car. What type of car is it?
It's a 2008 Malibu Chevy.
2008 Chevy. Mm-hmm. And it probably has a little bit of mileage on it.
Yeah.
And the Blue Book value is, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Talk to me.
Well, with the car in my possession, I feel like she has a lot of drama going on in her life. So it could have been a
She has the drama.
She has a lot of drama going on in her life. It could
All
have
the
been a-
drama sounded like it was with you, who went from Vicky to this other person. Are you still with that person now?
Well, on and off, yeah.
Okay, all right.
But there is a lot of situations that happen. Actually, the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve, I went up to her job. She works at a department store, makeup. And two of the girls that she worked with, she actually got them fired. And they were going off saying they were going to get back at her and do all this stuff.
I
They were
didn't get
mad
them
at her.
fired.
Wait, what's going on?
So I work at a makeup counter, and my manager came up to me and said makeup is missing. And so I knew who it was, and I told my manager who the two employees were that were stealing makeup. They pulled it up on the surveillance camera, and they fired the two girls. It's
They
not
got
my
themselves
fault.
fired.
Yeah.
They got themselves fired.
Yeah, but
Because
there-
if I am working somewhere and someone's accusing me or what's going on,
I mean, I'm not about to risk my job. That's my paycheck.
Yeah, we're grown folks here.
I mean, I don't think you should blame me for it. When
But wait,
never
you
blamed
brought
you for
that
it.
up to say that these people could have played a role in the sugar being in the tank.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
And then she also had an incident right before she left with a neighbor. She parked in his spot, and he was yelling at her. They were arguing in the street. Everybody saw them
I
arguing
parked
and
in
yelling.
his spot
He
because
left
for
her
a
a
minute-
nasty note.
But
I
wait,
parked
there
in
was
his
an
spot.
issue with a neighbor.
Yes, a neighbor.
What was the issue with the neighbor?
So I came home one day because I had to run in and grab my charger. And somebody was parked in my spot, so I pulled into my neighbor's spot for like 2 minutes, ran upstairs, grabbed my charger. On my way out, he starts yelling at me like, this is my parking spot. He always makes ruckus with everyone. And I'm like, you need to relax. He's writing me a nasty note. I was literally parked there for 2 minutes, but he makes beef with everyone. And I'm just telling him, like, listen.
Did you tell him, look, somebody's in my space?
I did. I was like, look, somebody's in my spot. I only went to grab my charger. I'm sorry. I'm leaving right now. He just did not know how to, like, calm down and just understand where I was coming from. So I was just like, all right, you need to relax. You need to control yourself. You're a grown man. You're acting like a little boy. I'm leaving. Goodbye. And I left. And I told her this story, and now she's trying to use that against me as drama.
Well, that's the drama that was going on in your life. You're the one who told me about this situation.
That's not really drama.
Again, the term that you're using, she's got all this drama in her life. Yes, she inconvenienced someone else after being inconvenienced. That doesn't seem like a lot of drama in her life. 2 people that worked with her were thieves. That doesn't seem like a lot of drama in her life. What else?
Well, there's also another situation.
I understand why you're saying that. You're saying, look at all these other scenarios that could have contributed to that sugar being in the tank. I get it.
Yes.
The issue is the car was in your possession.
Yes, but when the car was in my possession and I'm not looking after it 24 hours if it's parked in the spot and I'm up in my house.
And you think that's what the law is, that you have to look at it 24 hours?
No, I'm not saying that's what the law is.
Okay. Can I tell you what that is? You are in possession, meaning that how I gave you my vehicle, I expect to have that vehicle in return.
Exactly.
Which is why most people then say, you know what, maybe I need to get my own car, or I need to be aware that when I have somebody else's property, I'm liable if something goes down.
Mm-hmm.
What if someone had hit the car and just driven off?
Then I will be responsible
and
for
boom
that.
goes the dynamite.
It is the same
Based on the
situation.
evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel comes down in favor of the plaintiff. I gave you that example to give you a perspective. The difference is it wasn't someone that hit the car, it was someone who caused damage to the car. It just happened to be sugar in the tank. You had the car, it was in your possession at the time, you will pay her. That is the judgment. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $2,465.
I'm so happy I won this case. She borrowed my car. It was in her possession, so she needs to take responsibility for what happened.
I didn't put the sugar in her tank. With all the enemies that she's made, this was bound to happen sometime. I was just the one holding the key.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
The fence that he put up,
yes,
I feel isn't the quality or aesthetically pleasing
you
as
wanted
the fence
cedar, so we know you are already top shelf.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Evan Johnson claims his neighbor put up a common fence that did not meet his standards. Mr. Johnson is suing Carrie Printer in the amount of $1,128. Mr. Printer claims it was imperative that he replace the fence, and he claims he notified the plaintiff in a timely manner.
Mr. Johnston, let's talk about this fence. What happened, sir?
Well, I've lived on my property 24 years.
Yes, sir.
About 7 years ago, when the kids were young, my wife and I decided to invest in a fence to enhance the property value. Mm-hmm. Also,
prior to making this decision, you didn't have a fence at all?
There was no fence.
All the properties were just open?
Open on most of the street. Most of the houses in the neighborhood did not have a fence.
You notice that a lot in other places outside of California. I notice when I go to the South, people just have lawns, and I'm like, what do they do with their dogs? Or what if you don't want to see your neighbor that close? I don't know. I've gotten spoiled being here in California. But in other places, it's very common.
Right. Well, and that's why we had young children and a dog, and we thought
you needed the enclosure.
Enclose the property. We thought maybe at that time houses were escalating in price and value,
and that would only serve to continue to enhance the property value.
Exactly.
All right.
So
you put this fence, and what was it made of?
Spruce.
Spruce. All right. So you chose a spruce wood fence, and it went through the perimeter of your property.
Yeah, we wanted cedar. Cedar's the material.
Yes, it is.
But the price of the cedar was just out of our price range at the time, what we thought would give value to the house. Okay. So we went with the spruce fence.
All right. You had the fence, and at some point you moved into the neighborhood.
That's correct.
Take me from there.
My wife and I moved from the East Coast, from Boston, Massachusetts, 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago. We had the good fortune of purchasing our first home.
And how close were you in proximity to this gentleman's home?
We're right next to, our houses are right next to each other.
And part of your fence would also be on your property?
That's correct.
The other aspects of your property, were they remaining open at that point?
That's correct.
Okay. And it became an issue about that portion that Mr. Johnston had because you wanted to, from what I understand, have a whole new enclosure.
That's correct.
Coming up on America's Court.
The fence that he put up, I feel, isn't the quality or aesthetically
Well,
pleasing.
you
as the
wanted
fence we get.
cedar, so we know you are already top shelf.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Evan Johnson, who is suing his neighbor Carrie Printer for $1,128.
How were you guys getting along as neighbors prior to the conversation about the fence?
Well, we're fine.
No issues?
I keep to myself. Mr. Pritner, I think, would like to, high five in baseball games and barbecues and picnics. And that's not who I am. I've got 2 kids I'm getting ready to send off to college. I work 17 hours a day. And I don't work 7 days a week. No, I take some time off to enjoy my family.
But when you work hard.
When I work hard.
And you don't want to be bothered.
I have nothing against Mr. Pritner, and we wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't for the fact of the fence that he put up.
Yes.
I feel isn't the quality or aesthetically pleasing.
Well, you wanted cedar, so we know you are already top shelf.
Well,
you said I'd settle for spruce. What sort of fence did you end up putting up?
I put up a pine fence. That was something that was more in myself and my wife's budget.
If we're just looking at the hierarchy, cedar, spruce,
pine.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
The issue then that we're talking about is the wood. There was no conversation about, and I'm using pine. My fence is spruce.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Was that conversation to?
No, and again, as I alluded to earlier,
here's the issue that I'm having. Your fence is spruce. You wanted cedar. I would imagine at a given you would say, now, my fence is spruce, and I really wanted cedar, so I know are we on the same page about making sure that, because that's going to be my side, is also going to be spruce. Did you have that conversation?
No, and I should have gotten it in writing.
Okay. I saw that you have some information there. I'll take a look at it. Yeah. Yes, quickly.
If I may, Your Honor?
Yes.
All I'm looking to do is put up 1/4 of the fence, 1128.
You make it seem like I don't understand that.
Okay, I apologize.
All right, you've given me the California Good Neighbor Fence Law. You're saying under the California Good Neighbor Fence Law, it needs to be in writing.
Yes.
He's right. You must advise your neighbor that under California law, adjoining landowners, if they're sharing equal benefit, they share equal responsibility. An agreement must be in writing. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the defendant. The reason is it must be in writing when the costs are shared.
Is this cedar?
Your matter is dismissed, sir. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
It's really unfortunate my neighbor felt the need to take me to court over our fence, but ultimately I'm just happy that Judge Ross saw that I wasn't in the wrong.
My neighbor knows he used that cheap pine fence, and in a couple years, when that starts to rot, I hope he doesn't come looking to me for reimbursement.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.